to a lot of things since I joined LAPLACH, especially the training on the international human rights.
Yeah.
My knowledge of the international law has been increased as a result of this training. And I say thank you to you, Doctor, and thank you to Mrs. Baroness, my training provider.
Thank you.
And Joy, who has been assisting her.
Thank you.
I wish you a very successful deliberation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, thank you, Ishaku Williams. You're also a lecturer, so maybe one of these days you'll be handling one of our classes too. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You know, before I call on the next speaker, basically everything we need to do or learn has been done on WhatsApp. We are just trying to put a face to this program. You need to see your fellow classmates, not by text, but by face, by video. And that's why if you are here, we encourage you to put on a video, see each other, get to know each other, hear each other, know that you're dealing with people that are live somewhere from different countries. Like I mentioned in the last class, we have students from close to 80 countries. We have trainers and facilitators from over 15 countries. There was a time we had students from over 102 countries. So our students are spread wide across. And once you are on our program like this, just know that you're already on an international program. And you might just be making friends from any part of the world. It's just not a Nigerian program only. It's just that Nigerians are more because we are domiciled here. And we've done all the work we want to do. So we are just trying to know each other, get to meet each other, and get to see who has been talking to us on WhatsApp. So Samsung SM F9. Why is F9 on your name? Over to you. You can say what you want to say. Samsung SM F9. I don't think Samsung is with us. Any other person want to say something so that we can move on to serious business? Okay, let's move ahead. So I'll be calling on our special guest. I will attempt to read her profile because the profile is so massive. I might not be able to read it all. But like I said, she's Zainab Omotoyosi Shitu Adenuga, a seasoned lawyer and a law teacher at the Department of Private and Business Law, Fountain University, Osogbo, Osun State. Her areas of expertise include family law, sexual and reproductive rights, criminal law, with a strong focus on gender-based violence. Her unwavering commitment to advocating for the rights of victims of such offenses is evident in her exceptional work in this field. She's dedicated to ensuring that justice is served for all. Zainab's passion for addressing pressing social issues is reflected in her cutting-edge PhD research, which focuses on the intersection of criminal and family law. Her proficiency, dedication, and outstanding work in this area are a testament to an unwavering commitment to creating a better world for all. Wow, that is massive. I want to call on our guest, Zainab Shitu Adenuga, to come on board. But before she comes aboard, I want her to know that we just want to hear from her. Her comment here is going to be a general comment on the various areas of international law, diplomacy, human rights, just for 10, 20 minutes. We just want to put a human face to all the training we've had. And it would be nice to hear from her. Some persons might have questions, 1 or 2, 3 questions. She'll be able to respond to those questions. And most especially, for those of us that are not lawyers, for persons that are not lawyers, do they even have the opportunity to go into the study of international diplomacy, human rights studies, and things like that? These are some of the things we might want her to know about. Thank you, and over to you, Madam.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just like you introduced me earlier, my name is Zainab Shitu Adenuga. I'm a lecturer from the Department of Private and Business Law, College of Law, Fountain University. Now, I've been asked to talk about international law, diplomacy, and human rights. And I would like us to, before I start, I would like us to picture a situation whereby countries of the world are in a state of chaos. You know, people are fighting, there is war, there is enmity between countries of the world. And this was the state of the world before 1945. Before 1945, we had the World War I and the World War II. So the world was in a state of chaos. One of those things that led to those war. Then for 1945, these people had to come together. A lot of people, congressmen from all over the countries, came together in an assembly for them to be able to forge a new path, you know, to decide that they decided that they didn't want war again. They wanted peace. They wanted to foster peace and strengthen unity among all nations. And this was what gave birth to the United Nations. And, you know, when this happened, it established a strong system which provided or safeguarded peace, you know, which protected human rights. Led to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. So I just wanted us to create that picture in our memory so that we'll have an idea what international law and diplomacy is about. So international law and diplomacy, you know, fosters peace, fosters unity among nations of the world. The difference, before I go into international law, there's something called domestic law. Now, domestic laws are laws made within a country. They are laws made for people within the territory. Laws made in Nigeria, like the Constitution of Nigeria. So many laws in Nigeria. We have the Land Use Act. We have laws on environmental issues. We have criminal law. We have penal code. All these laws are domestic laws are the opposite of international law. And international law is a set of rules, principles, norms, and behavior interactions between states. It helps to establish guidelines and conduct between all states. Now, diplomacy, on the other hand, it's about the practice of managing international relations through dialogue, negotiation, communication. It involves interacting when countries interact with one another, they come together to unite. One of the good examples of diplomacy is when countries come together to organize like World Cup, festivals, you know, things that involve interaction that fosters and strengthens peace, advances economic growth among all nations. Now, all human rights are basic rights. Human rights are universal rights. These are rights that must apply to all individuals. These are rights that we cannot do without. These are rights that we have to live life. Rights to life, rights to be free from torture and discrimination, right to religion, rights to economic life, right to social life, and so on and so forth. So universal rights, just like I said, are universal rights, and they are everywhere. When we are looking at international law and diplomacy, before I move on, I'd like to say that international law and diplomacy are very, very connected. They go hand in hand. Now, what are the components of international law? International law recognizes sovereign equality. It means that it recognizes the equal legal status and sovereignty of all states. States here means country, regardless of the size of the country, regardless of the power, regardless of the wealth, the economic status of the country. The international law recognizes sovereignty. It is because of this recognition that people are allowed, states are allowed to either go with if a law has been made. For example, now, the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights, all states have to ratify them. States have to ratify them and make them laws before, you know, it can become applicable in such laws. So states are not forced to, you know, to follow or to sign those laws into their own, domesticate those laws, to ratify and domesticate those laws. So this is because of the essence of sovereignty. Then also, international law establishes legal obligations for all to respect human rights, that people should refrain from aggression, to adhere to international treaties and all that, and so on and so forth. There are two types of international law. We have the public international law and private international law. The public international law deals with rights and responsibilities towards each other between two countries, while the private international law talks about the rights of individuals from two countries. For example, if a Nigerian and somebody from France wants to get married, which law will be applicable? So this is where the private international law comes. For another good example is, now that we know that with the advancements in technology, a lot of people can trade with one another on the internet. So what law would apply if I, in Nigeria here, decide to trade with somebody in Australia? If there's an issue of breach of contracts, which law will be applicable? That is where private international law comes in. Now, under public international law, we have so many treaties, we have so many charters, we have so many conventions. We have the United Nations. The United Nations are organizations under it, and also the World Trade Organizations. Examples of these laws. We have, to this law, I would like to talk about the sources of international law. International law can be found in treaties, conventions, declarations, agreements, and all other sources of law. And a good examples of international law can be found in the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. We have the Convention on the Rights of Child. Also, we have the Kyoto Protocol, which talks about environmental matters and the effect of greenhouse emission. Then we also have the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the Banjul Charter. Also, we have the Maputo Protocol, which applies to the countries in Africa. Now, just like I said before, international law and diplomacy are very, very related. They go hand in hand to maintain the peace, resolve conflict, and promote cooperation among states. Now, what are the things to look out for in diplomacy? I've earlier on explained what diplomacy means. The key aspects of diplomacy are, number one, representation. Now, diplomats serve as representatives for our countries in different countries. A very good example is the current thing that's happening now in Sudan. In Sudan, there's a war presently in South Sudan, and our students, Nigerian students who are studying there, have been evacuated. Some of them have been evacuated with their families back in Nigeria. Imagine if we didn't have diplomatic relations with Sudan. Imagine if we did not have a diplomat to help us to represent Nigeria and to ensure that our students are well evacuated back to their country. Imagine that our students might probably, be involved in the war. Some might even die, God forbid. But that is one of the benefits of having diplomatic relations with other states. Then also diplomacy it also helps in a situation whereby you have to negotiate. It enhances negotiation and discussions. Countries can come together to forge a new path, to make agreements, to resolve conflict, to discuss their challenges, and to borrow a leaf from other countries in aspects of looking at the solutions that helped other countries, the things that helped other countries to achieve, economic growth, political growth, and so on and so forth. Then also diplomats, aside from the fact that they represent our country in their various places, their various countries where they are put, they also play a mediating role. They facilitate dialogue, they find solutions to nations, and they employ communication and negotiation skills to promote peaceful resolution. Also, the diplomats also enjoy immunity under international law so that they can be able to carry out their functions. Imagine if they don't have immunity, a lot of people will come together and sue them probably at the International Criminal Court. Now, the International Criminal Court is a court that is empowered to foresee and resolve disputes relating to international issues. So when there's an international issue or an international dispute, it is the International Criminal Court that would hear it. It is funny when we hear people talk about Nigerian election and how they expect the aggrieved parties to take the matter to International Criminal Court. That is not the job of the International Criminal Court. It is not part of the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court. Now, protecting human rights, fostering unity, diplomacy, international law, And the reasons why there is peace, one of the reasons why there is peace and stability in the world. International law and diplomacy fosters peace, fosters cooperation, it promotes cooperation, it protects human rights. In case of violations, international violations, like in case of when we had the serious cases of Boko Haram, well, that's the reasons why we have international laws. International laws also facilitate global trade and economic relations. Nigeria can decide to partner with another country. Like we have so many trade and economic relations with China and some other countries. Also, it helps to address global issues. We have so many global issues now. Issues of climate change, terrorism, nuclear proliferation, cyber warfare, public health crisis, and so on and so forth. Countries can come together to collaborate, negotiate treaties, develop norms, and to ensure that people's rights are not violated in the process. Then also international law and diplomacy contributes to accountability. It helps individual countries to be accountable to their citizens. And also because they know that the International Criminal Court and the tribunals there can, they know that their disputes can get there. So it helps individual societies, individual states to ensure that they are accountable for their actions and responsible for their actions. Also, it enhances international governance. It contributes to the development and functioning of international societies. Now, I would like, apart from Sudan example that I just, I'd also like to mention one of the benefits of international law, diplomacy, and human rights. You can see that in the interaction in what happened as regards the case of Nnamdi Kanu and also the case of Sunday Igboho, whereby the Sunday Igboho ran to the Republic of Benin, and it was instead of manhandling him and all that, charged him to court. He was extradited, despite the fact that they issued an extradite. The Nigerian government said he should be extradited back. They charged him to court there. Imagine if there's no relationship between the Republic of Benin and Nigeria. Such decisions will not be made. Although it's a very controversial matter, I do not really want to go into it in depth. But imagine if there are international relations between Nigeria and Kenya, the Kenyan government, although also the Kenyan government has come out to say they do not have a hand in what happened or how it was extradited back to Nigeria. So these are simple, similar, vivid examples of the benefits of international law and diplomacy and the protection of human rights. There are so many human rights violations that we know. We have, from my own area of law, there are so many violations affecting women too, affecting child. International law helps to put states in focus, let them know that when you violate these rights, these are things, these are penalties. There are penalties that, that are here if you violate those rights. And it helps states encourages states to adopt those laws that they have made. Like, for example, the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights is a law that embodies the fundamental human rights of all basic humans. It says that it is universal. So you can imagine the kind of how heavy that law is. Now, in summary, international law and diplomacy are vital tools to promoting peace, resolving conflicts, and protecting human rights. It fosters cooperation and addresses global challenges. So thank you for having me. That'll be the end of this class.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Our able lecturer. In fact, I just felt I was in a classroom. I was hellbound. Yes, and I want to believe that the same thing goes for everybody here. You heard it, you saw it all in class on WhatsApp, but you are getting the human touch to the whole training altogether. And you are really coming home to the fact that you actually did a program that is worth all your time and effort. And I'm sure for some of us that have been saying, wow, why am I studying this course? You will not ask that question anymore. It is clear right now that we have full knowledge of what we are doing and what we studied over the past few days. We would like to take 2-3 questions. Please, normally when we have classes like this, the kind of questions we usually have is, why is it that Nigeria or this country is not respecting international human rights law? Of course, there are questions that can be answered, but we want more academic questions like, how can countries cement relationship? How do ambassadors work? How do they build relationship? How can diplomacy be? How can we leverage on international human rights, international law and diplomacy to foster interregional relationship? Those are the kind of questions I want us to start asking questions like diplomats, future diplomats, people that are aspiring to become diplomats. Those are the kind of questions we will be encouraging people to ask. And we also want to see you asking questions about human rights, gender-based violence. Why is it that cases like that are not quickly tackled and stuff like that? So we might just take 4 questions, 5 questions, then we'll go on AOB. For the first time, we might be having AOB in our class, where we'll talk and interact and get to know each other better. And the able lecturer is here to take our questions. So first of all, I'll start from Edmond Emmanuel. Please, let's make it brief. Edmond Emmanuel, over to you. Edward Emmanuel, are you there? Okay, I think your audio is bad. We have to move to somebody else. Okay. Adake, let me call someone else because you spoke in the last class. I know this is a different class, but we'll call somebody else. So, talking about Ishaku, John B. Musa. I can see you have a very serious question to ask from the way you are looking at the screen now. Go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Actually, I have to apologize. Yes, I have to apologize. I wasn't able to attend the first Zoom, but this one is very critical. I just want to start this question very straightforward. Yeah. Now,
you're frozen. I think your network is frozen.
For getting access into their country. Hello, sir.
Okay, just a minute. Hello? Are you using your earpiece?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's why it's not too. We can hear you, but it's not too clear.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me,
go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. My question is, what happened to the Egyptian country that tried to deny our people getting access into their country? When the issue of Sudan, what happened about a year or 2 ago? I learned that the Nigerian government is trying to have a kind of a discussion on that regard, maybe some kind of sanctions. I don't know if that is applicable in this regard, based on what has happened, mainly the fact that we have a kind of a treaty with them, we have a kind of understanding with them. Why do they have to disallow our people from getting access into their country? It's not kind of the thing. What do we do in this regard? Assuming the Egyptian country do not say anything or do not apologize to the Nigerian country, what step are we going to take next?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if your question is very clear to Zainab, but if it's clear, maybe she might attempt to answer it. If it's not clear, we might ask you to just type it out, then we can read it out and answer it.
It's clear to me.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Should I answer the question now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm aware that I read in the newspaper that some of our students were turned back at the Egyptian border. They were not allowed to pass through. Although later on, I think when Abike Dabiri got to know about it, they later on allowed our students. In this kind of situation, it's something that our government can actually, decide to take steps. There are so many, I believe there are so many agreements, so many treaties that involve Nigerian government and Egyptian government. There are treaties that fosters trade relations, that fosters economic relations. Our government can decide to withdraw from all those agreements, just to pass a message across. And if it is something that eventually leads to, whereby our students are involved in the crime, in the war, can become a war crime that the Nigerian government can decide to prosecute, to take the matter to the International Criminal Court for. Although the International Criminal Court deals with other issues like genocide, war crimes, and all that. And it also deals with state aggressions, the crime of aggression, where the state uses force on another. So I believe that Nigerian government can take serious steps by, first of all, cutting them off, just to pass a strong message across. And if denying Nigerian students fall into, problems or they become spoils of war and they become affected by the war, then this is one of the cases, is a genuine case that can be taken to the International Criminal Court and that can be tried and prosecuted there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to believe your question has been answered. John B. Musa.
Very well.
Perfect.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we'll be calling on Austin Ajoku. Austin Ajoku, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, over to you.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
I'm an international relations scholar, scientist, and pardon my visual from this end. The question I would like to ask is, I would like our last lecturer to give us a lecture on the United Nations Human Rights Global Human Rights process as it regards human rights violations globally. We have a case from the eastern side. Trust me, I really don't want to go too much in there. What I'm trying to say is, I would like us to have knowledge on, can tap into knowing the enforcement process of the United Nations as regards human rights violations in Africa. Thank you.
Okay. Over to you, madam.
Well, I didn't really hear him well, but I think what he's saying is that he's talking about human rights violations, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the human rights violations, there are so many human rights violations. We have extrajudicial killings, we have torture, inhumane treatment, and we have violation of expression of violation of freedom of expression, violation of freedom of religion, freedom of association, and so on and so forth. And just like I said, that the international law, one of the characteristics of international law is that international law respects the sovereignty of a nation. And because of the respect that the international law has for, or the United Nations has for each nation, they cannot force a nation to ratify and domesticate a law. What the United Nations can do is to encourage states to ratify a law, sign it, and keep on enforcing it in their nation. So when states enforce, some of the states too can cajole one another, and Nigeria can decide, United States can say, because of the relationship, they can stop a relationship in Nigeria if Nigeria do not ratify one of these big laws, like the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, or African Charter, the Banjul Charter, or probably the Maputo. So when Nigeria ratifies this, right, and makes it law, then individuals who are found wanting or individuals who violate human rights would be prosecuted and can be prosecuted in Nigeria, in Nigerian courts, because it has become part of our law. So in court, if you want to prosecute somebody for extrajudicial killings, you can cite, the criminal code as well as all these international laws that are ratified and domesticated. That domesticated means it has been made into our law. So I hope that satisfies your question.
Okay, thank you for that. And basically, it just meant that, okay, the Nigerian law actually does we all know how.
Hello.
Hello, sir, Mr. Emmanuel. Hello, sir.
Is it Austin and Chinedu on the line?
Okay. Hello, sir. Please, can I be excused? I fasted the whole day, so I need to break my fast.
Are you hearing me, ma?
Yes,
Hello?
ma. I said I fasted the whole day. I would like to break my fast. Can I be excused?
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. You can well be excused. We appreciate your time and effort, and
Thank you very
we'll get back to you behind the scene. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So,
Yes, sir.
okay, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we are supposed to just do 30 minutes here, maximum 40 minutes. We've exhausted our time. We've added the human face to this program. You've known about human rights, international law and diplomacy, about human rights. You've seen how it is being applied countries by country, the domestic version of law, and we've also looked at various areas where it is applicable, including examples. So I want to believe that this class was worth the time and effort from your end and from our end. We'll just take just 3 comments from here, 2 female and a male, if any, and want to hear your comment about the program. Probably give it a pass mark or criticize it so that we can improve on it. Maybe next time we have a class. If you have anything to say, please let us hear from you. Mr. John Musa, you want to say something?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I want to appreciate you so well, and I want to appreciate Lafayette for all these good things that you people are doing to us. I just want to have a plea here. I missed the first Zoom by 6 o'clock. I don't know, even though I don't know how we can be able to meet up with that in case of anything, because it's very important for us to have all documents intact. It actually will go a long way in helping us even cascade any other thing down to our to the people that might even want to, even to help us to in whatever we will do. If this thing will go a long way to make other people understand what we do. It's really a good one. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I want to believe that you are asking for the recorded Zoom, probably the recorded Zoom of the last class, if you were part of it. And yes, we are going to have it. In fact, right now, the one for the last class is ready. they were going to share it. So just talk to your trainer in your class and ask for it. Because we are supposed to have 3 different classes. So if you are not in the other class and you need a Zoom, just talk to your trainer in your class and they will get it across to you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Professor Michael Nwokolo, JP. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
There's no doubt that this training is quite impressive, inciting.
Thank you, sir.
And yes, very educative.
Thank you.
We like it. It cuts across sociological aspect and criminological aspect of life.
Thank you.
But many people don't know when they see a topic like this. I've been hungry and thirsty to speak since, but you didn't allow me.
Oh,
Maybe
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, maybe because you don't know me, I've raised my hand since. And I lecture criminology in University of Lagos.
Wow, that's good.
Yes, and I've served in the police for 35 years.
Wow.
And I retired. So the experience is there. I wanted to comment on the issue of check and balances. You see, most of our diplomats in other countries,
yes.
do we get a report? Do we get a report from them? Mm-hmm. Do we hear anything from them? Yeah. Do we know anything? Do we know how they're doing the job? They're supposed to be feeding the country back, even if it's through the even if it's through the news media. We should be here through the media. We should be hearing what is happening. To know what is happening. Then there's always slow dispensation of justice. You remember when our citizens in South Africa had problems, xenophobia. It took a long time. Many of our citizens were killed. Why is it always taking time before we react? We should be always proactive. Let's tell our country to do something, to be swift. All these people, they normally pose as ambassadors. They should help us. We are not hearing about them. We are not seeing the impacts they are pulling. At all, we're not seeing it. Even when we had problems of Boko Haram and banditry, other countries, are they assisting us? Or it is our country that refused the assistance? This thing should be put into play. And finally, I want you to assist us. Do we have international human rights centers in Nigeria so that we can affiliate with UN International Human Rights in Nigeria? Do we have them? Thank you very much. Very interesting.
Thank you.
God bless you, sir.
Thank you, Professor. In fact,
thank you, sir.
This should be called the icing on the cake. Even from comments, you can see that people are very impressed with your comment. And I want to believe that these are areas we'll be looking out for in other training we'll be having. In fact, we are working towards getting 1 or 2 speakers from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. When next we are tackling a class like this, get somebody from Foreign Affairs to come and talk about international diplomacy from the angle of diplomats, external affairs, and the government. While we also get somebody from the academics, and most likely we might also get somebody from outside the system that is a beneficiary or have a direct link to the occurrence. But probably somebody from Sudan that can tell us what he or she experienced. So the training we have here is a training that is a real life situation training, not just a classroom training. And by God's grace, we'll be having more robust speakers coming on board from time to time to discuss. Professor Michael Nwokolo, it would be nice if I can get your number so that we can discuss some other things after the class. So if it's okay, you can private chat me your number or whichever way.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Can I give you now?
Yeah, you can. Why not?
Because now 080.
Okay.
330.
Okay.
36.
Yeah.
426.
Okay.
I'm also a professional graphologist. I can interpret anybody's handwriting in the whole world and tell you the person's behavior and his characteristics.
Yeah. Wow. That is good. Any moment from now, we'll be having courses on forensic. So it's very likely we'll be talking to you when we are doing a course on forensic. So no problem, Prof.
Okay.
And
I
also want to say thank you to everyone sitting there. And one thing I know about our usual class is that we are made up of, our students are usually made up of high profile personalities from different backgrounds. Now you are a student here with 35 years experience in the Nigerian police. You are a professor, lecturer in university, but you are here as a student. So you can imagine the caliber of students we have here. Yet everybody is just hungry for knowledge and everybody is ready to learn. That is the spirit we are building. That is the new Nigeria we have. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you. God bless everybody. We're going back. In your class, just ask for your certificate. I think it's 5,000 naira. That it covers the 3 courses you've done for the past 3 days. So it's that affordable. Have something to show for the knowledge you have acquired here. But first and foremost, it's not the certificate. It is the knowledge that you have acquired. Make sure the knowledge is reflected in everything you are doing. Make sure when you are called up, you're able to defend the certificate you are brandishing that, yes, I have a certificate in this. The certificate can come next, but try and have your certificate if you can. If you cannot, make sure you have the knowledge. And see you some other time. And by God's grace, we'll be sending across to you information about new development, new courses, new issues that will be coming up. God bless you. Please don't worry, this course is going to be recorded and sent to you in the class tonight or first thing tomorrow morning. So you don't have a problem, you're going to get it. We're also going to send you links to go to the materials any time of the day so that you can keep refreshing your memory about this topic. Thank you. Thank you all, and good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. God
Bye.
bless you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very
Very
Very interesting class.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
See you tomorrow.